I have Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, and this is why it took me years to get diagnosed. The first and most obvious reason is medical sexism. Now, sexism is not a word I throw around lightly, but that is the only word that I can use to describe what I went through. Because every time I would go to doctors complaining of symptoms, they would literally tell me that I was just being emotional. I literally had a doctor tell me that my joint pain was from me being depressed, and I wasn't depressed. Unfortunately, medical sexism is a huge problem and something I could do an entire video about, so if that's something you want to see, let me know. The second reason is that just not a lot of people knew what Ehlers-Danlos syndrome was. Like, I was diagnosed well before TikTok, and so very, very few doctors even knew to look for it. And I had no idea things like invisible illnesses even existed, so I didn't even know what to ask doctors about. The process itself of looking for a diagnosis is just extremely time consuming. I mean, it takes so much time to go from your primary care doctor to a different specialist to another different specialist to finally getting to see a geneticist. And then, oh yeah, you have to wait 3 months to get results. And it's just a very long, expensive, exhausting process. Also, I don't think people realize how mentally and physically draining constantly trying to get a diagnosis is, because you're going to different doctors who are all telling you different things. You have to have all these different test runs, you're getting MRIs, CTs, and that's if they even believe you. And if they don't, you get told it's all in your head, and you have to do that for years until you get an official diagnosis. I think I had doctor's appointments probably 3 times a week for 2 years until I finally got a diagnosis. And that was just draining. It was draining on me, it was draining on my family. And so it is definitely an exhausting process, and I can see why people don't want to go through that. And keep in mind, you're doing all that while you're chronically ill, so you feel bad and tired and exhausted anyways, and then you have to go to all these doctor's appointments. And if you're a student or working, it is just so ridiculous. So anyways, I know this was kind of a downer of a video. I think it's important to be realistic about, that went in my mouth, about the process of getting a diagnosis, because you shouldn't just tell people, oh, you just need to go get diagnosed and it'll fix all your problems. No, it's a really long process, and when you're chronically ill, it makes it even harder to do. For me, it was worth it, but there were just so many obstacles, and that's why it took so long. But I know for a lot of people it's been a lot longer, and for a lot of people it's been a lot shorter, and I know this video's been kind of crazy because I'm exhausted. But as always, thank you for listening, and I would love to hear about your experience getting a diagnosis below, because I think the more that we share and that we talk about this, it just helps to raise awareness and help us to support each other. Anyways, love you guys.